he should be paying more, that what he reports to the IRS isn't necessarily accurate.
Well, we worked together while he was a tattoo artist. I actually have one, very talented and very busy. But I do not know what he charges.
What was the price you were charged by the tattoo artist?
I was not charged anything because we were together.
Based on Mr. McIntosh providing his tax returns, you were aware of my colleague calculating his current support to be $337 if that's what the court went with.
Honestly, I don't know too many tattoo artists that make that much money.
The thing that's not considered in these is my income.
But the Texas State Legislature specifically kept the other party's income out of it. That's why I'm not allowed to do it, ma'am, okay? As in the interest of McIntosh minor children, non-custodial party being Kyle S. McIntosh, custodial party being Ashley L. Hudson, and this matter before the court on a stupid modification child support and mostly confirmed arrears. The court will take judicial notice of the court file. Note for the record that both Mr. McIntosh and Ms. Hudson were both served back in November, and Mr. McIntosh did file a respondent's answer in this matter. Also appears just to be a general denial answer without any affirmative pleadings on file. So at this time, I ask the state for an opening to tell the court what the state's requesting we do here today, what you understand agreements and contents to be at this time, and whether or not you're looking at making this a temp or a final order. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. It's the state's understanding that the parents are only in agreement that the child is currently covered on government medical through the mother, and that while the father should pay cash medical support, the issue is what the court will base it on. It's the state's understanding that Mr. McIntosh has provided his tax returns from 2023, 22, and 21, and this is based on his self-employment as a tattoo artist. However, it's Ms. Hudson's contention that he should be paying more, that what he reports to the IRS isn't necessarily accurate, and she would prefer that we use the Bureau of Labor Statistics information. The median based on that, Your Honor, would be $52,910 per year, while the information provided by Mr. McIntosh for 2023 was a gross annual of $20,800. The state would be using a percentage of 22.5 in this case, since there are 2 children before the court and 1 outside. The state has calculated support based on both of the set numbers given, and will provide those to the court upon request or in closing. But the state is also going to be asking for testimony regarding the need for non-disclosure in this case, and whether it's appropriate for parties to use app close with regard to the 2 children, especially if it comes to any matters needing reimbursement or notice to the parties.
All right, and Ms. Vongad, I'll ask for you to give me, once you get that into evidence, what the average are for the median, the low end, and the high end of tattoo artists in Bell County, Texas, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, folks, you heard what the states are requesting, and I hear what both parties are saying. Mr. McIntosh, I've done cases with hundreds of tattoo artists over the years. It's been, I understand that you have turned in your income tax information to the state as far as what your earnings are, but that amount is so far above the average what someone that the Bureau of Biostatistics is what the federal government says that people in your area of work make in Bell County as an average in the low end, the middle end, and the high end. I have the absolute right to use one of those averages to do your child support, because under those circumstances, the court may have to find that based on what you're doing, you're underemployed or working part-time or doing something not to get out close to that median, sir. So again, the government's the government. They say that you're doing this as far as taxes, but they say you should be earning this. And I'll take a look at all that and make a determination on whether or not what I'm going to go with. Because again, like I said, I've been doing this. I've done this for a while with tattoo artists, and it seems to be a profession that's underreported, sir. I'm not saying that you did that. I'm just saying that that's what the court has observed over the years. And again, I'm supposed to use my entire legal background to make decisions on what's coming through the court today. And obviously, I can always base a decision on what the federal government says that you should be, that the average person in your profession earns in this area. And I'll have the state confirm which Bureau of Biostatistics median there, Bureau of Violence Statistics standard they're using for the county, the city, whatever. I know we got there are a couple of different ones out there, but I think the one I'm looking at normally is the county, and every now and then he'll even break it down to Temple and Belton and Killeen. So, but we'll see. Anyway, let's find out what's going on here. Let's see what we got, and let's take it from there. So at this time, I'm gonna go ahead and let the state call you both as witnesses. Anything either you think I need to know that doesn't come out during the hearing, both of you will be allowed to tell the court that data, so long as it's relevant, and we'll take it from there. So at this time, I'll ask both Mr. McIntosh and Ms. Hudson to raise your right hands. Whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Who are the children in this case?
Skyler Mcintosh and Isabella McIntosh.
How are you related to Skyler and Isabella?
I am their mother,
Who is the father of these two children?
Kyle Mcintosh.
Were you able to hear my opening statement to the court, Ms. Hudson?
Yes, ma'am.
Was that an accurate description of your two positions in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And ma'am, based on the prior orders, was Mr. McIntosh the person ordered to pay both child and medical support?
Yes, I have state Medicaid, so he had to pay like the 61 towards that or whatever that was, but he did pay that as well.
And ma'am, the prior order in this case was actually a negotiation conducted in 2015. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so Mr. McIntosh's current support amount for the both children is $283.
Yes.
And Mr. McIntosh was ordered to pay all of his payments through the state's disbursement unit, correct?
Correct.
And based on the current information, would you agree, Ms. Hudson, that the state shows Mr. McIntosh has actually paid ahead $56 as of yesterday, April 22nd, 2024?
Yes.
And depending, ma'am, on when the court decides to start this modification, you understand we'd either be confirming arrears if they exist or finding the future pay amount and applying it to the future obligation?
Yes. And I was told when we did this through, like when everything was getting scheduled, that it would go back to that September 27th date if the payment amount did change. Is that correct?
No, ma'am, that's not.
So-
It looks like y'all were both served in November. I had the state confirm that. But I may start, and that's what the family code says, I may start the new amount of child support the first day after the service of citation on the,
Okay.
it's gotta pay it. So that would be the 1st of December is the earliest, and it's a may, it's not a shall, which is.
Okay.
The lawyers, that may not mean anything to lay people, but shall means I have to do it, and may says it's that means it's up to the judge, okay?
Okay.
And Ms. Hudson, as far as you know, in what state does Mr. McIntosh live?
He lives in Louisville, Kentucky.
And are you aware, ma'am, of what exactly Mr. McIntosh does for a living?
Yes, he's a tattoo artist.
And do you know, ma'am, either because of what you've witnessed yourself or what he's confided in you, he charges for his services?
Well, we worked together while he was a tattoo artist. I actually have one. It's very talented and very busy. But I do not know what he charges. It all varies based on size, placement, all of that stuff. I mean, it's tattoos.
Okay. And ma'am, just for context, what was the price you were charged by the tattoo artist?
I was not charged anything because we were together.
Okay, got it. And then as far as today, based on Mr. McIntosh providing his tax returns, you were aware of my colleague calculating his current support to be $337 if that's what the court went with?
I wasn't aware of the calculations, but I was aware of the amount that they claimed that he turned in for his tax return.
And ma'am, aside from your two children, do you agree that Mr. McIntosh does have one other child?
Yes.
And any idea, ma'am, whether Kentucky has a state income tax?
Yes, they do. I believe
Okay.
so.
And then, ma'am, as far as the Bureau of Labor Statistics number that I was using, the 2023 median pay, do you have any idea whether Mr. McIntosh's actual earnings or that of the other tattoo artist you mentioned approach that?
I honestly don't have any knowledge of how much he makes or anything else. We don't really communicate.
Okay. Since you bring up the communication, Ms. Hudson, moving on to the subject of non-disclosure, at this time, do you know Mr. McIntosh's actual physical address?
No, he would not give it to me when
And
I
ma'am, do
asked.
you know whether he's aware of your current address?
Yes, he's been in my home.
Okay. And do you have any safety concerns about your address appearing in the court's order?
No.
And going forward, ma'am, if you should move from your current home, are you asking this court to give you permission not to provide that information to Mr. McIntosh?
No. It
And
is
so
okay if
is
he knows.
understood, ma'am. And that goes as well for your phone number and email address?
I did request that we use the app for the phone messaging, just to keep it cordial.
And what have you all been using in the past to communicate regarding your children?
As I said, we don't really communicate much. When we do, it's through text.
Okay. And at this time, ma'am, do your children have access to your phone?
They do, yes.
And so as far as anything relating to them, there's a possibility that they could come across exchanges between the two of you?
Absolutely. They've been sent them by their father. So that is
And okay. And the app you mentioned, was that the app close, the electronic parenting application, um, usually recommended in this court for cases where there's maybe a difficulty communicating?
yes, ma'am.
Do you already have an account with that?
I do not. She just mentioned it, and I said that that sounds like a great plan.
Was there anything else, Ms. Hudson, you wanted the court to consider at this time?
Not at this time.
And then, ma'am, as far as your children being on government medical, any plans to change that anytime soon?
Not at the moment.
And then, ma'am, as far as Mr. McIntosh providing the cash medical amount, um, along with that 337 child support number that was calculated, we would actually change the cash medical number, excuse me, to 52. If the court orders that, do you have any problem?
I do not agree to the 337.
No,
He
no,
and I actually,
we got that already. She's talking about the
okay,
health insurance.
the health insurance. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you, Ms. Hudson. Based on those other questions, anything else you'd like the court to consider?
The only thing that I would like considered is obviously that we've already agreed on a higher amount. And I did send that in. He and I both talked about it.
Okay, ma'am, here's the deal. Unless he testifies that he agrees to it at this point, I can't take that into consideration. Anything y'all did in negotiations is not admissible. The law wants y'all to be able to go into a room and negotiate things out. And when you're in negotiation, things get thrown around, but until they're before the court, they don't count, okay? So
It wasn't in negotiation.
I'm sorry?
So that wasn't in a negotiation.
Anything that's not before the court, ma'am, is negotiations. Sorry. If it wasn't before me, then it's negotiations. All right.
Okay.
So if he gets in here and says that he agrees to that amount, to a certain amount, and you're in agreement with that, I'll see what that is and see if the court's in agreement also. Okay. But he's got to say agreement right now. He just can't say, yeah, I can agree to anything. I can agree to buy that new Mercedes Benz that I love until they get my names on the dotted line. No, I'm not making those type of payments. Okay. So.
Okay.
All right. So anything else, ma'am?
Nope, that's it.
All right, ma'am. I do have a couple questions. How old are the kids?
14 and 16.
All right. And when's the last, what's dad been doing for visitation?
He sees them in the summertime. They go to Kentucky to visit him, and then occasionally he comes around spring break.
Okay. So he sees them once or twice a year. Is that pretty accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And ma'am, he stays in Kentucky. Is he near a military base in Kentucky, or is he out there somewhere else?
No, he's in Louisville. It's not military.
Okay, but he's in Louisville. Okay. All right, got it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you very much, ma'am. You can call your next witness, Ms. Bongat.
How long is it that you've lived in Kentucky?
Basically my whole life. I lived in Texas for about 6 or 7 years.
Okay. And as far as the tax returns that you provided for 23, 22, and 21, all were for the state of Kentucky?
Yes, ma'am.
And sir, what is your particular state tax rate there, or is it all a flat one?
It's a 6%. I believe it's 6%, 6.5.
Okay. And then, sir, how old is your child that is outside of this case?
5 years old.
Is the 5-year-old in your household?
Yes, ma'am.
What exactly do you charge as a tattoo artist?
Well, it really just depends on size, placement, but I'm by no means a full-time tattoo artist. I work sometimes an hour a day, 3 to 4 days a week.
Do you have any other sources of income?
No, ma'am. Other than my fiance, she helps with bills.
Okay. And do the two of you own a home, rent? What's that like?
Well, the house is, I own it.
In the last month, sir, what was your average work week hour load look like?
In the last month, I can look at my schedule, but it's hard to say. With tattooing, there's a lot of cancellations. I would say close to a half to a third of my clients that I schedule don't even show up. So it's, the last 3 years have been way slower than previous years, unfortunately.
And sir, is it a parlor with multiple artists or one place for them to just come see you?
There's multiple artists.
And sir, do you have any idea whether the income you report is comparable to that of your colleagues in the same parlor?
I would guess that it's similar, but I would probably say I work less.
And sir, what do you do with the rest of your time when you're not at the parlor?
Spend time with my family.
Okay. So does your fiance also work?
She works part-time. She cleans houses.
Okay. So you said you have the 5-year-old. Is that child in school?
Yes, ma'am. She's in preschool.
So the bulk of your expenses are carried by your fiance, and then your 5-year-old has pre-K, but not necessarily a full day of school yet.
No, not yet. Close, but not a full day.
Do you do anything in addition, sir, to the child and medical support amounts that were previously ordered?
Absolutely. Whenever the girls need money, I send it to them directly in Cash App, which I sent an email to you guys. I'm not sure if you got it or not with proof of the Cash App that I've sent in the last year.
Okay. Well, sir, unfortunately, not unfortunately, it's wonderful that you give your daughters money directly. Unfortunately, it doesn't count as a credit since Miss Hudson's the person who should be getting the child support. But even with the earlier testimony of Ms. Hudson, sir, and the payments you've made, you would agree that you're paid ahead depending on what day we look at on our financial activity report?
Absolutely. I was ahead by $400, and I guess the most recent payment of $344 came out, which left the 56.
Is there anything else, sir, you wanted the court to consider since you did have the opportunity to hear the Bureau of Labor Statistics versus what your last tax return said?
Well, honestly, I don't know too many tattoo artists that make that much money. And as far as visitation with the children, I guess that goes on to something else. Never mind.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McIntosh. Your Honor, I pass this witness.
All right, then, I want to ask the state to do a printout of the government statistics on the income again. So that's why I asked for these things always break down to high, median, and low. And that's why I was looking at all three. That's why I want to see all three before I take a look at it. So sounds okay, sir. I want to confirm. Sounds like some of this lesser work is voluntary. Some of it is pushed by the fact that we're still coming out of COVID. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So at this time, sir, I want to. The mom testified that y'all may have had agreement before, sir. Is there an agreement at this time? And you don't have to tell me the amount. Just tell me, did y'all make an agreement, and whether or not you would want to proceed on that agreement? And I'll let you tell me what the amount is. But if you say there's not an agreement, I'm going to stop right there. Okay.
There's no agreement.
Good enough. Thank you. All right, the state's going to print out the information, and the court's going to make a decision on what I found out on that. So I'm going to look at some math here, and again, the circumstances. You are seeing your kids at least once a year, maybe twice a year. Is that correct, sir?
Sometimes 3 times a year. We usually go in November for Bella's birthday, but
Okay.
it's been getting cut shorter and shorter. That's what I was going to say earlier. I was promised 42 days, and I can't remember a summer where I got 42 days where it wasn't interrupted with a fight.
All right, well, here's the deal, sir. The court order controls the visitation also. I get that. There's nothing before the court dealing with the old order and the visitation, only the child support. And that's all I can take into consideration today. But obviously, I'll tell Ms. Sutton, I'll tell you that whatever that old order is, it still controls, okay? And like I tell everybody in my morning speech, child support and visitation, both just and enforceable. The only main difference is I'll give you 6 months on child support. In jail, I'll give you probably only 2 months on visitation. So no matter what, jail is jail as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, so anyway,
And when there's abuse involved,
okay,
does that change?
Stop. Okay.
It's a question.
I'm trying to stop you. Here's the deal, ma'am. You can testify to anything that's happened since the last order. And if you're going to make an allegation of family violence, it really needs to be something that's happened within the last 2 years. So
Absolutely,
okay.
it has.
But right now, the only thing that deals with more than like is whether or not your information going forward is done. And I'm already going to order you to folks to use the app going forward of App Close. So but right now, access to the kids, visitation, and face-to-face are not part of the order. So if there needs to be a modification of that, that's going to have to be filed by one of you two before that can come before the court. But right now, I can always make a finding of family violence if that's the case. And I can always order you two to correspond using App Close. As far as anything dealing with that order with visitation and access to the kids, I have to have a modification of that order filed also. And right now, the only modification is on file is dealing with child support.
Okay, thank you.
This is the occupational employment and wage statistics for May of 2023, going back last year to certain craft artists, including tattoo artists, and broken down by the lower 10%, 25%, the medium 50%, and the higher 75%, and the highest at 90%, based on what the average income is for such parties. And again, this is what the federal government says that people of your profession make, sir. And it breaks it down by various states and by areas or regions as far as what they earn. Again, I've got your testimony, but under the law, sir, I'm allowed to use this to show, to corroborate or to find that you're closely employed or underemployed or something totally different. But again, I've got your testimony that this is not the average that you make, and that you make less than that. And but you are doing some COVID has affected you, but you are doing some lesser work voluntarily. So with all that legal mumbo jumbo out there, as far as that this information shows, is there a legal reason, sir, I should not be allowed to consider this information as postulated by the United States government, sir?
Not that I can think of.
All right, ma'am, is there a legal reason this shouldn't come in evidence?
No.
All right, and the mean amount looks like it's I think the state gave me 43,610, correct?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe that's correct.
That's with the employment. All right, and I've got, and that's the mean annual wage. I got a median at 36,600 and a 25% rate at 29,120. I ask you to do the calcs based on both of those, the median and the mean, and tell me what those are at this time, please. Thank you.
All right, Your Honor, at the median of the 50%, monthly gross ends up being $3,050. Health insurance or cash medical in this case would be 91. Net resources of 25,2501 would make guideline support 568. And then I'll get back to you on the 25%. Your Honor, based on the 25%, gross monthly comes out to $2,426.66. Cash medical would be 72. Net resources of $2,043.16, making guideline $460.
The other was five what now?
568.
All right, folks. I was doing some calcs myself on what the cost of living has been as far as the last 8 years. And that's gonna be way above both of these. So yeah, so if I was just to exclude the COLA amount, sometimes I do that, and then when I'm trying to figure out what the new child support's gonna be. So just to keep up with inflation. So at this time, folks, I'm looking at either 560 or 460. I'm only gonna look at 72 on the cash medical no matter what. So I'll start with you, ma'am. Obviously you probably want the higher amount. So I'll just take that for granted. All right, so I'll just go straight to you, Mr. McIntosh. Again, the court was looking at calcs and doing what the cost of living over the last 8 years would have been in this case, as far as your child support is concerned, and it'll make it slightly, well, it's definitely gonna be above the $500 amount, just for mom to have the same spending power she had 8 years ago. So, and again, sir, I can always order child support based on that. I know judges to do that. So at this time, sir, what are you asking the court to do then?
Well,
Again,
I would definitely say the 460 amount, because if cost of living's gone up, I still need to live too.
yes, sir. All right. Okay, well, this is the one time I can split the baby in half if I want to. All right, ma'am, what are you asking the court to do here?
Obviously the higher amount, since we previously agreed on 600.
Okay.
The thing that's
Ma'am,
not
you
taken.
got that in on me. I told you not to do it. Okay, sorry.
I know, I'm sorry. But like, I mean, the thing that's not considered in these is my income, and I'm supporting these
Well,
two
I'm
children
sorry, ma'am. Okay. And
on my
again,
own.
okay, well, and see, the problem with that is there are states that do consider the other person's income, but the Texas state legislature specifically kept the other party's income out of it. That's why I'm not allowed to do it, ma'am, okay? Believe me, there's a history, there's always a history to everything, and the history says I'm not even gonna consider it. All right, so here's what we're gonna do, folks. I am looking at modifying the child support. I'm finding that the father is underemployed. I'm gonna go ahead and order child support at the amount of going forward, and just to give it, I'm sorry, man. When's the last? One child is 16, the other's 14, correct?
Yes.
When's the 16-year-old turn 18 and graduate? What year?
She turns
Well, I know she turns 18. When did she graduate?
2026. So June of 2026.
So we're looking at another 3 years. Okay. So, all right.
2
I'm sorry.
2 years.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm looking at 423. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong number on my computer. Sorry about that. I should remember it's 2024. Okay. All right then. I'm gonna go ahead again, sir. This is the dead even below. This is the 50 percentile of tattoo artists in your region. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm figuring with your expertise, you should be right around there, at least that, sir. So I'm gonna order child support going forward at $560 a month. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm not gonna go all the way back to I'm splitting the baby in half on this one too. Instead of starting the first day of December, I'm gonna start the first day of February. And that's dead in the center of this circumstances. So I'm ordering $560 a month, start the first day of February, going forward, cash medical at 72. I'll ask the state to give me what the calcs will be for child support when the oldest child turns 18, what that would go down to if based on the 568 amount that I loaded down by $8. It's not gonna make much difference. So what's the step down for when the oldest child emancipates? Do you have that?
It's going to be 442.
All right, so when the oldest child emancipates, it technically goes down to 442, but by then it'll be close to another 3 years, and the court will have we can always look at child support again going forward, and you get to probably talk to a new judge because well, I plan on retiring sometime in 26, so it may be me, it may not be me. There you go. So based on these circumstances, that's going to be the court's ruling. I'll start with you, sir. Questions?
Not really, other than the medium, because Louisville's a big city. East Louisville, a whole lot more money's made than where I live in South Louisville. So that's all.
I did not go with the median. I went with the 50 percentile. I didn't go. The median is even more than this. Okay.
Okay.
As far as you guys are concerned, the 50 percentile is 36,000 and some change, and the median is 43,000. So that's an extra $6,000 on top of that. So again, I went with the 50 percentile instead of the median range, because obviously the median includes people who make a lot more and to average it out. So I just went with where you would be if you feel dead center in the 50 percentile of people who do this for a professor, sir. So, and that's the amount I came with, and I figure at this point, based on where you live, that's I'm not sure what your general area. So, but I would figure that would be fair. So that's why I went with the 560, sir. Anything else then, Mr. McIntosh?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Hudson, anything else, ma'am, or anything else you think the court needs to consider?
Nope, that's it.
All right, thank you both very much. Like I said, I'm going to order the child support modification. The $560 a month, I'm starting at the first day of March 2024. And cash medical at 72. I won't start the cash medical until the first day of May. That's, ma'am, that money go to you, or are the children on Medicaid?
Yeah, the children are on Medicaid. You
All right,
did
I'll
say February 1st, right? Not March 1st.
I'm sorry, February 1st. Yeah, February 1st on the child support. On the medical support, it starts at 72 the first of May, first day of May. All right.
Okay.
All right, folks. That's what the court's going to go with at this time, and based on y'all's circumstances and the information I have before the court. Again, sir, I went with the 50% percentile instead of the median, which includes a lot more, obviously people who make more. But for right now, I feel this is fair and equitable based on the data I have. So, is there anything else from the state?
Your Honor, given the court's ruling for February 1st as the new child support date, the state's requesting that future pay finding be for January 31 of 2024 for the $56 paid ahead to be applied to the future obligation.
Okay. Obviously, I'm gonna go ahead and find that as of that date, folks. Accounting wise, that's what I have to do. So I'm starting the child support the first day of February. The new amount, so the old amount, what was owed as of the 31st, is taken in by judgment, and that future pay is applied toward the amounts going forward. Anything else, Ms. Von Gatt?
Your Honor, I forgot to ask about court cost. Does the court have a ruling?
Court cost is waived.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Hudson, questions or anything else, ma'am?
So further communication between he and I should be through the app, correct?
I'm gonna go ahead and put y'all on app close, folks. I can do that. I can't change anything dealing with the visitation or anything else, but going forward, I'm gonna order that you both communicate using the app close. And that way, in case something goes terribly south, then I can always get the information from app close of what y'all actually were communicating. I can give your kids a lawyer, and your lawyer can tap into your account information. So going forward, no communicating about the kids, no setting things up on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. Everything has to go through the parenting app close. And ma'am, I'm gonna order you to go ahead and set that account up within 30 days and get that information so we can log on. Now, you're dealing with older kids and dad's allowed to talk to them separately and apart from you, but between the two of you, only app close is to be used, all right?
Okay, absolutely.
All right, sure. Any questions about the parenting app?
No, sir.
All right. All right, good luck to both of you folks. I'll have the state prepare that order and circulate it. Thank you, and we're off the record.